Hey y'all, I hope everything is looking good. I'm kind of in a frenzy. I got something to do. As y'all can see, I'm all dressed up. Gotta go get my husband. Going to see Andre 3000. Yes. So in elementary school, I had a gym teacher who would say to us, practice doesn't make perfect if you're practicing wrong. Practice makes permanent. Now, at the time, I was in third grade, so that's what, like 8 or 9 years old. And here it is, 25 plus years later, and it still rings true. Now, he was applying this theory to athletic ability. But how true is this for all areas of our lives? I'm just going to adjust myself. Oh, Snoopy fell. He gonna have to take a dive, y'all. Shout out to Mr. Curtin, though. He may not even remember me, but I remembered him instilling this mantra in us, and it has inspired this episode. This is Just Forget About It, episode 42. Like the great Jackie Robinson, practice makes permanent. When it comes to things in life that matter to us, relationships, partnerships, our career, our legacy, it is essential to understand the importance of wavering your need for perfection, but leaning more to the side of effective strategy for permanency. For this is what will bring us long-term success, stamina, and sustainability. That was a twister, a tongue twister. But success, stamina, and sustainability. To the things our hearts need most, like love. So, for example, you're in a relationship and you have your ways, hooks, crooks about you, like we all do. And I believe this practice makes perfect sentiment, magnifies problems, or can even end a otherwise healthy relationship. So, for example, this practice makes perfect approach would be, say, as a man in a relationship, you and your lady are feuding. And you're feuding over what she feels is time that you guys aren't spending together and missing love sentiments. So, like things like flowers, little cute love notes, being a little more romantic, sporadic dates, picnics, stuff like that. Things that women like, feminine, divine feminine women like, right? So, according to her point of view, you guys, don't have these things. So after the fight, you bail and you take a breather, right? So within that time of you taking that breather, to her, it equates to the meat and potatoes of her argument about you not having time in the first place, right? And all right, you make your way back. And on your way back, you feel like, you're taking strides in the right direction. You buy baby girl some flowers. And all is well in the initial steps of you gifting her the flowers. Of course, she's going to be grateful. She loves you. But like 2 weeks later, y'all fighting over the same thing. It's because you are coming from an angle of using the problem to create the solution. From an angle of practice making perfect, in an instance where your practices are heavily flawed and may even be embedded in a bit self-centered self-righteousness energy. Looking at the instance from a bird's eye view, hear me out. Looking at it from a bird's eye view, just hear me out. It shouldn't take an argument to have you celebrate or acknowledge your love. It also shouldn't come from the also shouldn't come at the expense of wasted time and minimum effort. It also shouldn't come at the expenses of wasted time and minimum effort to your lady. We should be learning and practicing from what we want for permanency, not short-term gratification. Practice makes permanent, not perfect. If we are learning it wrong, this can even be applied to our career. How many times has it been culture within a corporate structure that goes against policy? But because it is common ground and everyone else does it, no one holds themselves to standard. Now, don't get me wrong. I've played this game with the best of them. But again, do we want to indoctrinate a habit of doing things out of commonality that we know are wrong and wonder why things in other areas of our lives are suffering? Practice makes permanent, y'all. So if we are practicing incorrect, underhanded, unjustified things, guess what? We are inviting them into our lives for permanent keeping. This is when lines like, well, that's just how I am, or that's just the way it is, come into play and belief. And boy, what a disservice this is to our souls, to our souls. Let's strive for permanency in things we do, while understanding that perfecting a bit of this effort each day in our strides will bring us to our very own version of perfection that we can be proud of. Even in friendship and platonic relationships, we are often attracted and inspired, shout out to episode 1, Intro to Inspiration, to things in others that mirror ourselves or what we want in some way or another for ourselves. And it is our job to take these moments and these things, these inspirations, and build or awaken that side within ourselves. Unfortunately, my good friends, a lot of us are taking this as a means to compete. Now, I love a good friendly competition. Don't get me wrong. As a Libra, I'm naturally competitive. But to become permanently envious, jealous of our friends and acquaintances that are doing things. Oh, whoa. They said, don't you talk about it. That are doing things we are too afraid to awaken within ourselves. No, that's no good. Practice makes permanent. And if you're permanently practicing negativity, that's what you're going to get. It will serve us greater to come from a place of practice making permanent opposed to perfection, simply because perfection doesn't exist and is very much relative. But being relative doesn't mean you don't have to be intentional. And this is what I'm hoping for you, for me, for all of us that's been tuning in. Shout out to everybody that's been watching Just Forget About It, that's been tuning in consistently, yes. But after viewing this episode, I hope that you will take and implement this mantra when it comes to making efforts towards challenges in our lives, even when it comes to interpersonal communication with the people we love. Because practice makes permanent versus practice makes perfect. because nothing and no one is perfect. While knowing permanently practicing something ineffective can also lead to lifetime deficiencies. So be mindful of your permanent placings in life. But until next time, guys, I hope that you will practice to make things permanent, permanently good, abundant, and fruitful in your life. JFAT, ow, about to go get my man.